Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughan Manor, where I'll be doing my last book haul for a while. And it's all because of CriminOlly. Yes, I blame CriminOlly for this instead of, taking any responsibility for myself. So CriminOlly has a great booktube channel. I don't know if you've seen it, but you should. CriminOlly. This guy talks about crime fiction, he talks about horror fiction, he talks about a lot of other books that you don't hear a lot of people talking about. So it's awesome, you should all go watch it. And in a recent video, he has said that he's been buying too many books, which he has, I've noticed that. I've noticed that. He buys a lot of books, this guy. And he's decided that he's not going to buy any more books until he's read 100 books that he already owns. And I thought, this is a good challenge. You know me, I'm a sucker for a challenge. And I thought, I've been buying too many books too. There's only so much room at the manor. I mean, it's a gigantic manor house, but even it only has so many rooms. So many rooms. But I decided I would do this challenge as well. And so I'm not going to buy any more books until I've read 100 books. I'm going to keep track. And I'm not even counting the book I'm reading now because I'm halfway through with it. Starting next book that I read, which will be Dune Messiah, I believe. I won't buy any more until I've read 100 books that I've already got. So this is my last book haul for a while, but I have accumulated some books recently. I got some in the mail, and I got a few the other day at Pegasus Books, which I always spend too much money when I go into Pegasus Books in Berkeley. But let's start off with the big one. Now, I talked about this in my video where I talked about the mammoths that I'll be reading next year, and this is the most mammoth of the mammoths. This is Varney the Vampire, which comes in two big old volumes, Varney the Vampire. The Penny Dreadful Varney the Vampire, which many people have heard of and very few have read because it's so darn big and kind of awful, I think. I've heard that it's not the best written in the world, and in fact, I've read a few passages from this, and it's hilariously bad. So it should be a lot of fun to read these two gigantic volumes. This is reproduced very well, actually. Really great illustrations on the front and back. It is double columned as I expected, but they reproduce all of the art from this Penny Dreadful. And these came out, I don't know if they came out weekly or monthly or how they came out, but some great illustrations. Look what Varney's up to there. This guy always getting into trouble, Varney the Vampire. I can't wait to start reading these books, and they are really big. Really big. But like I said, this just looks like a ton of fun. I'm probably going to start that in January. I'll do a series of videos on Varney. Can't just do one on Varney. So that's that. Got a few more that came in the mail. This one, Peel Back and See by Mike Thorne. You might have heard of this one. It's kind of been all over on BookTube recently. Mike Thorne's been all over BookTube. And this one has gotten a couple good reviews. This was suggested to me specifically by Blather. And so I picked it up, and I'll see how it is. I've heard a few conflicting things, but mostly positive things about Mike Thorne. And I've heard some good stuff about this particular book, Peel Back and See. So I'm looking forward to reading that. So that was that one. Now this one I found out about from the BookTube channel Disshelved with Adam White. Disshelved with Adam White. Mr. White talked about this author, Frederick Nebel, on his channel. And Frederick Nebel did a lot of detective stories, mystery stories in the pulp magazines. And he also did a series of air adventures, because in the pulp magazines, they had pulp magazines about everything. And Air Adventures was one of them. And this is Gales and McGill, The Complete Adventures of Gales and McGill by Frederick Nebel. This is volume 1, 1927 to 1929. Of course, after watching that video, I had to pick up something, and this was what appealed to me. Because I haven't read any pulp air adventures, at least, well, I've read a couple, but not that many. And this is the second volume of Gales and McGill. I had to get the whole thing. So volume 2, 1930 to 1931. So thanks Adam White for letting me know about this author and these books. I appreciate it. So that's the stuff that came in the mail. Now we'll get on to the stuff that I picked up at Pegasus. I picked up kind of a pile of books at Pegasus. And this one is an interesting one. This one is a book called Of One Blood. The Horror Writers Association presents the Haunted Library of Horror Classics, and this is a horror classic. I've heard of this book. I've never seen this book, and I didn't realize there was an edition out there that I could actually read. I think I've heard about this like once. So it's pretty obscure. It's Of One Blood, or The Hidden Self. This was first serialized in Colored American Magazine in 1902 to 1903. Let me just read the back because this sounds really interesting, and I'm going to read this probably sooner rather than later. When medical student Raoul Briggs reluctantly attends a performance by the beautiful singer Dianthe Lusk, he can't help but fall for her. The very next day their paths cross again when Dianthe's train crashes. To bring her back from the brink of death, Raoul draws on an eerie power he can't quite name. Soon the two are engaged, and Raoul sets off on an archaeological expedition to Africa to offset his debts before the wedding. But in Ethiopia, unexpected danger and terror force him to confront the truth about his lineage, his power, and the history that lives in his very blood. Tell me you don't want to read that book. Yeah, so this is pretty good. This looks pretty good. It's by an African-American author, Pauline Hopkins, written way back in the day, 1902 through 1903. So I'm looking forward to reading this. A horror classic I have never read, so that'll be exciting. This next author I knew about and never read, but Duncan McCurdie suggested that I read one, so I'm reading this one. I picked this up at Pegasus. This is Beast in View by Margaret Miller. Beast in View by Margaret Miller. Mystery Writers of America Grand Master Margaret Miller. So yeah, I look forward to this one. I want to read more crime, and so this one looks like a pretty good one. Beast in View. That looks awesome. And speaking of mystery and crime, I've been looking for this book, and I'm kind of excited that I found it. A nice addition, too. This is The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This is Poirot's first case. I've read only one Poirot novel, and so I'm looking forward to reading this one, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. So I had to pick it up. It's actually a really nice hardcover copy of this book, so that's going to be cool to read that. Now this next one, I saw it and I had to buy it. I had to. It's by Brian Lumley, whose Necroscope books I'm enjoying so much. And just this title alone, Fruiting Bodies and Other Fungi. Fruiting Bodies and Other Fungi. How awesome is that? And of course it's got an awesome cover, which you expect from a Brian Lumley paperback. And this is, I think, some mythos stories in the tradition of Lovecraft, some Lovecraftian stories, which Lumley has written a lot of that I have not read. I've never read any of these, I don't think. So, of course, I had to pick this up. Of course, I can't wait to get to it. It looks great. So I got two books in a set here that, of course, I had to get them. I had to. It's The Collected Supernatural and Weird Fiction of Mary Shelley in 2 volumes. This is volume 1. This is a small press, Leonore Press, whoever they are. But they came out with this. This is volume 1. It has Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, and 14 short stories of the strange and unusual. Most, if not all of which, I probably have not read. So I was really happy to find this. Again, a nice hardcover. I think it's, like I said, small press, but it seems to be put together really nicely. And I've got the second volume right here. This includes the novel The Last Man and 3 more short stories of the strange and unusual. So yeah, Mary Shelley, the collected supernatural and weird fiction of Mary Shelley. I was kind of happy to get this. This is kind of awesome. So yeah, I got that. And so now I got some paperbacks there at Pegasus as well. This first one I have no excuse for getting because I already own this book. But I own the original hardcover, and I wanted the paperback. Once I saw it, I said, you know, I gotta pick that up. I don't know why, but this is Robert E. Howard, The Sowers of the Thunder. This is the paperback edition. Now I have the original hardcover, which is this, The Sowers of the Thunder. It's kind of shiny because it's got plastic covering it, because this is a beautiful, beautiful book with Roy Krenkel illustrations. Beautiful hardcover from Donald Grant, published in 1973 when I was 2 years old. But just the beautiful illustrations in this. This one happens to be signed by Krenkel. It's to Bob Sidebottom. Hey Bob, I've got your book. Bob Sidebottom got this signed by Krenkel himself, the artist. And this book has a bunch of little illustrations in the side and some really nice illustrations. I mean, look at that. That is just gorgeous. This book has some of Robert E. Howard's historical writing in this book, which of course I have in other places. Of course I do. But look how beautiful this is. And this is just such a beautiful hardcover book signed by one of my favorite illustrators ever, Roy Krenkel. So of course I had to get it. And I had to get the paperback because I saw it. And it does seem to be pretty much a duplicate, I think, of the hardcover. I'll go to that same page. Yeah, it has, of course, the reproductions of the illustrations are nearly as good, but they are all in there in this paperback edition. So this is kind of cool. Sowers of the Thunder. Got a few more books. This one I've been actually looking for, but not under this title. This has a different title than I'm used to. They changed it because apparently they made a movie. This is John Christopher's No Blade of Grass. Now, I was looking for it under the title The Death of Grass, but I guess they made a movie. The science fiction classic, now an unforgettable motion picture. I think it might be kind of forgettable because I've never heard of this movie, and I think most people forgot it. But hey, it's unforgettable apparently. No Blade of Grass. Now I'm gonna have to watch it. But I got this edition of it, the No Blade of Grass edition of Death of Grass. I really want to read this book. I hear great things about it. I've heard only good things when I hear of it at all. So there's that. And this one I can't believe I didn't have already, considering all the vintage science fiction that flows into this place. I mean, until now. Now I'm doing the challenge. But I can't believe I didn't get this until now. But this is Ursula K. Le Guin's The Lathe of Heaven. Look at that great cover. Man. What you expect from an old paperback of Ursula K. Le Guin. I have not read this book. I've heard great things about this book. So, yeah. Looking forward to reading that. This next book I've never heard of at all. This is Philip Wiley's The Disappearance. Now, this is a good writer, but I've never heard of this book. I'll just read one paragraph from the back. 1 minute, it was the world as we know it. In the next, the women disappeared from the men, and the men from the women. Suddenly, it became 2 worlds. One male, one female. Each as before, except there was no opposite sex. So, that's kind of interesting. That's an interesting sounding book. This is The Disappearance by Philip Wiley. So, yeah, that's awesome. Couple more books left. Both by the same author, one of my favorites. This is Clifford D. Samac, and this is Time and Again, this beautiful paperback copy of Time and Again. So, yeah, I was happy to see this. I mean, it's in perfect shape. It's got this little line at the top, like a remainder line. But the book itself, for a paperback book, is, for an old used paperback book, it's in wonderful shape. So, and a great cover. So, Time and Again by Clifford D. Samac, one of my very favorite science fiction novels. And this next one is my very favorite science fiction novel, which of course I already own. But I've been looking for this particular edition, this exact edition I've been looking for decades. And I found it only in terrible, terrible shape. But now I found it in perfect shape. And that is Clifford D. Samac's City, my very favorite science fiction novel. This is my very favorite science fiction thing of any kind, City. I love this book. I mean, dogs and robots, you can't go wrong with that. And I've always wanted this particular copy with this robot on the cover. This is the Ace edition of City. And it's just in beautiful, beautiful condition. I mean, the spine is perfect. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely book in great condition. The one I've wanted for years. And cheap. I got it cheap. So, hope you liked it. That was my last book haul for a while, thanks to CriminOlly. So yeah, that was fun. I've got one little bit I'm tacking on the end to this video for no particular reason, just because I'm a weirdo. And yeah, there you go. So I am always interested in the reading habits of people who read a lot or are really into reading. And one of the things I'm interested in is where people read, how long they read it at a time, things like that. I don't know why. I'm just weird that way. But here at the Manor, when I am at the Manor, this is where I read. This is my reading chair at the Manor. Now you'll notice here at the Manor, at my Manor reading chair, I do not have any table at the side of it. The chair is all by itself there. And that is deliberate because I don't want any distractions. And so I do not have a table to put like snacks or a drink, especially not any kind of device or phone. I always have my phone in another room charging somewhere so it will not bother me. Because I just want my time here to be spent reading and only reading. And I usually read for about 40 minutes at a time, and then I'll get up and do something, and maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get back to reading again a little bit more after that. But yeah, this is my reading chair. For no reason, I'm showing it to you. Because I'm interested in that, about where you read and what your reading habits are as far as that goes. Yeah, so there's that. And that's all I've got for you today. And I will see you here next time at Stately Vaughan Manor.